What's the name of the show again? I'm just kidding. Welcome to Primetime Carolina. We're back. I'm your host, Tanner, along with Dave. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? The Panthers are gearing up to win the Super Bowl. They've got the quarterback they need. They got the pieces. We're going all the way, baby.
I'm digging the optimism, Tanner. I'm not sure I can reciprocate it as excitedly as you are, but we'll see. We'll get into it. We'll talk about it.
You know, I figured I'd start off with a pretty grand intro since we haven't done a video in a little bit. But we're not going to get into all that. We're going to get into what's going down here in good old Carolina Panther country. The Panthers have a new quarterback. It's not Matt Corral. It's not PJ Walker. It's not Cam Newton. It's certainly not Sam Darnold. It is Baker Mayfield. That's right. Baker Mayfield is our new, I'm going to say, starting quarterback. Some people say there's going to be a competition. I doubt it. Baker Mayfield has been traded to the Panthers, and realistically, all they gave up was $5 million they're paying him and a fourth or fifth round pick, depending on how the season goes. Dave, we've had a little bit of time to think about this trade. What are your thoughts on Baker Mayfield coming to Carolina?
Yeah, man, it's good to be back after a little bit of a summer break there. It's been too long since Primetime Carolina got at it with these hot takes.
Hey, man, that's why we're here. This better be a scorching hot take.
I don't think it's a hot take, man. I think I feel probably about the same you and most Panthers fans do. I like the move, and we talked about this, as did several other people before. Well before it ever happened, before the draft and whatnot, the possibility of this trade happening. It just seemed too obvious for it to not happen. Between either us or Seattle, we're probably the only two real teams that, we're even suitors for Baker Mayfield in any form or fashion. So, but I mean, we weren't going to roll into this season with just Sam Darnold. I mean, there's just no way. After what a disaster last year was, after giving him the keys to the kingdom, definitely was, not a smart move. But, obviously we drafted Matt Corral, and I think there's a lot of Panthers fans, including myself, who would like to see that pan out. But I think he comes from, a college offense, and he's just, probably not ready to be thrust into that role just yet, especially being, how much Sam Darnold cannot be trusted. The chances of him the team getting to a situation where they're going to need to pull Sam Darnold and put in someone else.
Are you saying that we can't trust Sam Darnold?
I'm saying I would trust an empty handgun in a firefight before I trusted Sam Darnold. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, so no, I wouldn't trust Sam Darnold. I think we've learned our lesson on that. I don't think it's crazy to think that Sam Darnold could actually play pretty well in this new offense with this new rebuild offensive line. But with that being said, you don't want to roll into the season with nothing but Sam Darnold to hang your hat on. So it's good to see the team go out and make a move. And, I said this before when we talked about it, before the draft or whatever. I think I'm higher on Baker than a lot of other people are. And, I think Panthers fans especially are starting to come around to the idea now that it's actually a reality and he is likely going to be the starting quarterback. I think people are starting to, get excited about what it could be, because I think, and I've beat this, nail through the plywood because I've said it so many times. The Browns didn't have a quarterback for 30 years. That's a long time to go without a quarterback. And then Baker takes him to the playoffs. Baker wins the division. Yes, he had a good team around him. No, he didn't do everything. But it showed what he's capable of doing with a good team around him. And, if he can do it in Cleveland, I don't see any reason he can't do it with this team. And we'll see what he does with this, 1 year left on his deal. We'll see if he can be that quarterback of the future type player. We'll see if, it comes down to him and Matt Corral taking over this team for the next 5 or 10 years or whatever. But, obviously that's putting the carriage in front of the horses. That's, a little in the future, but there's a lot of potential here. I like the move.
If you go back and watch any of our previous episodes, you gonna share some of that wine you're drinking, by the way?
Come on over, man. Just a couple of dudes drinking some red wine on a Friday night.
What has this podcast turned into?
Man, I'm getting old, man. I'm working on my old man swag. I got a bald head now. I'm drinking red wine on Friday nights.
Hey, man.
I'm doing my thing. I'm wearing the primetime Carolina merch. This ain't dropped yet, by the way. One day.
When that drops, that is going to sell out so quick.
Once we get a real following, I'm gonna have I comes to play with the primetime Carolina merch.
That's right. But regarding this move, you could go back and listen to previous episodes where we've discussed this, and I think we pretty much had the same thought process. We weren't necessarily like against it. I don't think we were over the moon about it, but we let the draft play out. We like Matt Corral. But I think for any Panther fan to really come into the season saying we got to start Matt Corral day one, see how it goes, it just wasn't realistic. Not saying he could be the guy. He's not the guy. I don't know, because I think this is a good situation for him to come in and just kind of have a red shirt season. We've talked about how this is Matt Rule's make or break year, and he can't go into this season talking about, okay, I'm going to roll with Sam Darnold or a third-round pick to lead me to the playoffs. It's just a really unrealistic thing to happen. So I still like Matt Corral a lot. I think this is going to be great for him, beneficial to kind of, take a seat, learn everything, and just, take a red shirt year and just learn from some of these guys. Now, regarding Baker Mayfield, I've said this before, and I think we both said, I think he's been a little underrated ever since this Deshaun Watson trade happened. Am I the biggest Baker Mayfield fan? No, I'm not. But he is on my team, so I'm going to root for him, and I'm excited because this gives me an opportunity to, be excited for the season. And what I mean by that is if we rolled in week one with Sam Darnold, that does not give me a lot of optimism. If we roll in week one with Matt Corral, I'm excited about what could happen, but in reality, there's a strong chance it's not going to work out because he might just not be ready yet. We get a guy who, like you said, the Browns, we've all seen the picture of the Browns jersey with all the quarterbacks, and then they've had to put the tape on it because there's been so many of them. Well, this guy was able to –
Shout out Jake Delhomme, by the way.
Yes, Jake Delhomme is on that. And he actually beat us in a Browns jersey. That I remember that game. That was so terrible. But it gives us a guy who he's shown that he can do it. And it's not the same type of Sam Darnold or the same situation with Sam Darnold where it's like, we've seen the potential. We've seen the flashes. Can he just put it together? No, we've seen Baker put it together. And we've seen him do it. It's just a matter of fact of, can he do it consistently? And can he, be in a situation where he's allowed to, make his mark and get comfortable? He's had a lot of coordinators. He's had a lot of different coaches, and don't get me wrong, the Browns, this past season and the season before where they won the division, they were a good football team. They had a really strong defense. They had a really good offensive line, and they had a strong running game, and they had a couple guys on the outside. You're walking into I would say, a somewhat similar situation. On paper, the Panthers' offensive line looks good. We expect them to be good. You've got the best running back in the NFL when healthy. That's a big if. DJ Moore, top 15 wide receiver in the league. Robbie Anderson, when he's on his game, is a top 25, top 30 receiver. Terrace Marshall Jr. going to come into the zone. The defense is solid. The secondary, this looks to be the best part of the team. So, and the biggest thing is he's coming in week one against the Browns, a team that they said, hey, we want to trade you for a grown-up. Don't know if you want to call Deshaun Watson a grown-up or not, but they traded this guy, and he's playing them week one. You think he's not going to come in pissed off and fired up? Worst comes to worst in this trade, the Panthers only got rid of a fourth or a fifth round pick, and they're paying this guy $5 million this season. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, rules gone. Most likely, we're going to start over. We're going to try to draft a guy next year. Let's see what happens. I'm for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really the Panthers don't really lose in this situation because, like you said, worst case scenario, they're losing a fourth or fifth round pick next year. Probably a fourth round pick because I think we can both assume that Baker's going to, probably be the guy for at least most of the season. Hopefully the whole season. Hopefully things go well and he's takes that role and runs with it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I wanted to make a quick joke. I think we did this in one of our episodes, but we need to go down and look at all the fourth round picks in Panthers history and see which one has turned out the best. Right. So we know, because Absolutely. There's those people out there that are like, oh my God, they traded a fourth round pick.
Yeah, in all likelihood, the way that Scott Fitterer moves around in the draft anyway, as we've seen, he can get that pick back as quick as he lost it. And not to mention, I believe this upcoming season we should get some compensatory picks too, for Hassan Reddick and whatnot. I can't remember who else we lost this offseason off the top of my head, but the Panthers can't lose in the situation, and when you really think about it, and it's almost like I didn't even realize how insane it was until now where I'm looking at it where we have three quarterbacks. We were really about to go into this season with, Sam Darnold and Matt Corral. And, no offense to Matt Corral. We both love Matt Corral and his potential, but potential is, the worst way to describe a player in the NFL because that means they haven't done anything yet. They haven't proven anything yet. And, you don't want to roll into a season with a guy who's got a lot of potential and a guy who is on the verge of being a big-time bust. So for us to bring in a guy who's got that experience, who's won games in the league, one of the big things we said we liked about Matt Corral was his leadership, that fiery edge, that dog that he's got inside of him, right? Baker Mayfield's very similar in that way. Now, a lot of that leads to some of the antics on and off the field that are a little childish and a little off-putting, but I like to think this whole experience with the Browns is going to help Baker mature a little bit into that role and maybe act like the adult that the Browns didn't see him as. So hopefully he's learned from the past and he's ready to come in here and work and be a good leader. And if you watched his opening press conference with the team, obviously that was one press conference, but he did seem like a guy who was ready to prove people wrong, and he was ready to take that negative energy and twist it into making some positive things happen.
This is going to be completely random, but I just have to bring it up since it just popped off my head. Let's say Baker comes in, plays really well. Panthers are winning some games. He's playing well. He's fiery. He's celebrating. He's having fun. I knew a guy that we had who, whenever he would win games, he would be fiery, he'd be celebrating, he would be doing stuff. But that guy was arrogant and a show off and this, that, and the other. This guy comes in, and what if he does the same thing? Is he arrogant and are fans going to be tired of it, or are they going to be like, yeah, I like it?
I mean, I think we both know the answer to that.
It's just weird. Like
I think he'll probably be as well received as Jake Delhomme was for the same reasons.
That's how they thought. Jake was fiery, competitive, which I love Jake Delhomme. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. It's just weird to me. But we're not gonna go down that road. It just popped into my head.
We all know what it is. We don't need to talk about it any more than we have in the past. But
But yeah, I mean, I think the only way this can go wrong, and I don't think the Panthers would go this route, is let's say Baker's very middle of the road. He's not great. He's not bad. The Panthers are 6-10, 7-9, blah, blah, blah. They missed the playoffs. Are you in a situation where, he's going to want long-term commitment? Are you going to be willing to do that? Or are you going to, hey, man, it was nice. It was a 1-year type deal. Prove it. It didn't really go the way we wanted to. I think we're just going to, let you move on to another team, which I think that would happen. The only thing I hope is that the Panthers don't get caught up in a situation where it's very middle of the road and they make a mistake on a contract.
I think if he plays well, you're looking at him re-signing a 3 or 4 year contract. I don't think the Panthers would throw something super long term at him and lock him in to be the guy. Um, but who knows? That might be exactly what he's looking for, and that might be a reason that he walks away. I don't think they would be willing to give him that after one good season. Especially, I think they're really trying to learn from mistakes they made in the past, and they're really trying to be careful about who they give long term deals to. Hassan Reddick's a great example. That's the kind of guy everyone would have loved to keep, but obviously they weren't willing to give him that type of contract because they are trying to make very well calculated decisions when they're signing players long term.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. So all in all, I mean, I think everyone fans, the general consensus is they're all in the same boat. We're pretty much, hey, we like this. It gives us the best opportunity in the situation we're in now. It's either going to work out great in the long term or it's not going to work out. And we're just going to move on. But it feels different from the Sam Darnold situation where you're basing it off potential and what could be and can we fix? Can we fix this? Can we fix that? With Baker, yeah, there's some things he needs to clean up and do better, but we've seen him play well. It's just last year he was injured for most of the season. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But this is a guy that's played well. He's led a team. He's won a playoff game. It's not like we're trying to fix something. Hey, we're going to give you opportunity here to show what you can do and what you have done. Go out there and do it.
Yeah, and I think it can't be, stated enough. I mean, how important this guy was to the city of Cleveland. I mean, they were coming off of 2 straight 0-16 seasons when this guy rolled into town, and he was a big part of turning the culture around for that team. Decades of losing, decades of failure, decades of being embarrassed week in and week out, and he took them to the playoffs. He made them a division champ. He made them a relevant team.
Yeah.
And I just don't think – I think people are just looking past that way more than they should. And I understand it's a team game and he didn't do everything, but he was a big part of changing that culture. And he's such a fiery dude, and we saw it when he was at Oklahoma as well. He dragged them into the college football – I won't say dragged them into the college football playoff because they were a good team, but he led them into the college football playoff because he was such a competitor. And that what bowl game was that? The Rose Bowl he played against Georgia. That was one of the best college football games I'd ever seen in my life. And
Yeah.
I remember walking away from that game just being so impressed with what a competitor Baker Mayfield was. And at that time, I could not stand Baker Mayfield. When he was in college, I could not stand him. So for me to walk away from the game saying I was impressed with him, he had to have really done something. And he played a hell of a game that day.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. I remember that game. And I'm like you, I never was, I didn't hate Baker, but, I certainly wasn't, a fan. But, here we are now. We got to root for the guy on our team. And, I think he's going to win some people over for sure, especially if he plays well. Another thing I wanted to mention was that, I've been on a couple forums and Reddit and things like that. Now I've seen, a couple Browns fans come in and say, hey, like,
Yeah.
You guys got a good deal here. And, you would think, they'd be coming on and saying like, ha, 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 because whenever we got the Sam Darnold deal last year, Jets fans weren't like, you guys got a steal. They were like, good luck.
Bro, because we got fleeced.
Yeah, exactly. So now we're coming into a situation where you've got fans from the opposing team like, hey, like this guy, like he's done some things. He's done some good stuff. I think you guys got a steal. And, I hope he does well. Good luck to you. You don't see that a lot. So I think that speaks volumes. And, a lot of the off the field drama, I'm not going to say, he's done anything like or he's been arrested or or anything crazy like that. I mean, he just had some off the field drama just with the media and stuff like that. Nothing crazy, but a lot of people were saying that, hey, Baker's a bad teammate. A lot of people from that locker room, a lot of people they talked to, a lot of people they spoke with saying, like, no, we love Baker as a teammate. He was great. They liked him.
Yeah.
So, you can take that for what it is, but the locker room needs a guy that's going to come in and be like, listen, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And I'm going to lead this team. And let's hope that works out, because I feel like since we had a prime Cam Newton, not the past iteration of Cam Newton, we have been lacking that leader, that one guy on the team that's like, this guy's going to come in here getting fired up. You had it with Cam. You had it with Luke. You had it with Steve Smith. We haven't had that in a long time. So if he can come in and just, embrace that culture and just light everybody up, that could go a long way.
Yeah, it's a big thing, man. Being the type of guy who can, light a fire under the ass of some of the guys in the room with you. Tom Brady's very famous for it, right?
Yeah.
Being that guy who's willing to go up to his teammates and tell them when they messed up and yell at them and all that good stuff that, he gets praised for because he's a winner. And, Jake Delhomme was that way too. He was always yelling and screaming at teammates and opponents, and he was fun to watch.
Yeah. And Steve Smith would beat you up if you
Steve Smith would beat you
didn't
up.
listen.
Yeah. Cam Newton beat up Josh Norman and it turned him into a superstar. He knocked the superstar into him.
That's right.
What's a funny point? I guess not funny, but an interesting point I wanted to bring up. I haven't really seen anyone else bring it up, but I did post it on the Twitter account, I don't know, a week ago or whatever, when I realized it. Last year we traded for Sam Darnold and we opened up at home against the Jets. And then this offseason we traded for Baker Mayfield and we open up at home against the Browns.
Telling you, man, the NFL, it's all a conspiracy.
The script writers, man, they're going hard this offseason, aren't they?
They know what is going on.
Last two off seasons.
It's like,
it's pretty wild though.
It is wild.
People were applying, I hope we play the open up against the Chiefs next year. Like, yeah, damn right.
We'll trade for Patrick Mahomes. That's our next one.
Yeah. Hey, if things keep going this way.
Something else I wanted to mention was, you know what? Totally just left my mind as soon as I said that.
That's all right. I'll just pick the ball up from here and let's talk about. I got nothing.
So, okay, I this is a point I wanted to talk about. I think we'll probably agree on this point. I just wanted to ask your opinion. Does this officially put a stake in the heart of the Cam Newton possible return to Carolina?
I feel like yes is the easy answer, but I also feel like part of me feels like was never really as much on the table as they want us to think it was. Well, also I think, if you can say someone gets hurt, okay? Say, I don't know, say Matt Ryan gets hurt in Indianapolis in the preseason or whatever, and suddenly they need a quarterback. They might trade, a late round pick for Sam Darnold. A serviceable NFL quarterback, try to get him through the season. They're a talented team. Maybe they could plug in a quarterback and make it work and win some games. Something like that could open the door for it, I guess, for us to bring in Cam for as a veteran backup quarterback in a leadership role. I mean, it's possible. I don't think it's likely, but it's possible. But I also don't even know that they would cut PJ Walker in that situation. It would have to be after PJ Walker was already cut from the roster, I guess. Because, obviously at this point, he's got to be the odd man out. But I don't know. What do you think?
I'm not – it's never over until it's over. I think from a situation now, like if you're looking at it, let's say no one gets hurt. Baker plays 16 or 17 games, whatever. I don't think they bring him back because they don't need to. Now, in a perfect world, I'd love to have Cam Newton as my backup as opposed to Sam Darnold. I know for financial reasons, that's why we've been holding on to Sam Darnold. And I want to bring this up real quick. Well, I'll finish the Cam Newton point real quick, and then I'll go to this. Is that, could you imagine Cam Newton and Baker Mayfield in the same locker room? Like, holy shit. That would be like so much like hypeness in one area. It would it'd be insane. I don't think it's over till it's over. I don't think Cam Newton's going to retire either. I know people have said that. Um, it's just weird because he's not really the type of guy that you see as a backup. And it's like, I would rather see him. I can't speak for him because I'm not him or I don't know him. But, obviously, if he wants to play football, he wants to play football. But to me, as a fan looking out, either it's Cam Newton is going to start and is going to play, or he's just not going to play at all. And that's how I would like to see it. But, if he gets the opportunity to slide somewhere and play or just be a backup and do something, we'll see.
Yeah, it's tough when you're talking about Cam because it just feels like there was just never really any closure on his career. And it felt like, especially when we brought him back last year, if he was able to have a better end of the year, it would have felt like there was some closure. Because it was just a shame the way it kind of all went off the rails with him with the injuries and things like that. So I think there's a part of all of the Panthers fans that just want to see it, like him go out on a high note because we feel like he deserves it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the reason he can't play now is because he laid his body on the line week after week, carrying terrible teams to wins and playoffs and Super Bowls.
Yeah. I mean, I agree 100%. It's, you look at someone like Tom Brady, who, granted, he is the best quarterback of all time. I will say that. He is also somewhat the luckiest human being of all time. You look at someone like Cam Newton, I feel like he has had some of the worst luck possible. I mean, the shoulder injury, and then,
there's the ankle or foot or whatever it was in the preseason.
There's the ankle, there's the foot in the preseason, there's the car accident,
concussions because defensive players are allowed to hit him differently than every other quarterback.
There's that. There's terrible offensive line. There's
terrible receivers.
He's getting cut. He gets picked up by a team. He has COVID for half the year. He comes back to another team. Their coach sucks. He's trying to learn.
Offensive line is the worst I've ever seen. Yeah, learning a playbook.
All these situations he comes into, it's just like, man, like, you just would like to see him come in healthy and just try to play some games.
Right. Just have a real shot to do something.
Exactly. And it just seems the last couple of years, we haven't got that ever since he left for the first time. So it's unfortunate. And I think most fans, they want to see him do well. And it just, it sucks to see him kind of go out whenever that does happen. We'll see what happens, but
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You said you had another point you wanted to make after the Cam Newton thing. Do you remember what it was?
Man, it's like I'm getting old. I can't remember anything. I have these ideas and they just like,
dude, you got to break out the red wine, man.
I guess so.
It's old man time.
I know it's telling us we got to wrap it up here in a few minutes. I had the same thing that happened with me on Zoom when I was doing like something with one of my friends, and I had to end up like, I think it might be like a service where you have to pay a certain amount a month. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I had to, I don't know. We'll figure it out after this, but
yeah, we can talk about it in a minute. I'll tell you.
But yeah, closing things up here, this has really been the most major news that's happened. We're sorry for the absence. We're just waiting for some news to unfold, and then the Baker thing happened. I don't want to be one of those guys that comes on here and just talks about nonsense every single day or other day when there's nothing really to talk about. But Baker Mayfield on the Panthers. I'm excited for it. I'll be there week one. That's my tradition. I go to every home opener. And you never know who we might be playing week one at the quarterback position because we don't know if Deshaun Watson's going to get suspended. It could be Jacoby Brissett. It could be I don't even know who the third string quarterback is.
I think it's Josh Dobbs.
Josh
is
Dobbs
on the roster, I think. I would bet my bottom dollar will be watching Jacoby Brissett that day.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if we weren't. But hey, the Browns they have a good solid team around them other than the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Outside of that, they've got a good offensive line. They've got two really good running backs, and we know the Panthers. That's my number one. That's my number one thing that scares me this season is
same here.
That interior on the defensive line. Unless Derek Brown just does a complete 180, that still scares me because
personally, I think our linebacking core is a lot weaker than people give it credit for, and I think we are built to be run against.
They signed some guys, but those guys were available, for a reason, and that part does scare me. The defense, you got Burns on the outside to rush. Marquise Haynes is a nice situational piece. Hopefully, Gross Matos can step up this year, but we'll see. But the defense, the front seven scares me. The secondary, I don't have any issues with. I think we're going to be nicely set up in the secondary for the first time forever.
I agree with that.
But, hey, positive note, the offensive line on paper, like I said, looks good. We'll see how that works out because that's going to be key. That's the whole key.
Yep, 100%. 100%. I'm excited about the offensive line, though. It might take a few weeks, might take about half the season for them to get completely in sync, especially with, a rookie at left tackle and, two new guys on the interior. But I think once they all start to mesh and are clicking, I think that'll be a good group.
I can't wait to see it. But thank you guys for tuning back in with us. Baker Mayfield to the Panthers. Those are our thoughts. We will be back soon with some new Panther-related topics to kind of get us through the offseason before we get to training camp. I've got a couple ideas. I know Dave's got a couple, so we'll get some stuff to go on. Thank you guys for sticking with us. I know it's been a little bare over the past couple weeks, but we're just getting ready for training camp, man. We're just getting started.
That's right. Cool. And while we're here, let us just mention that the single-digit jersey thing has blown up in the NFL's face. The Panthers almost didn't have enough jersey numbers for Baker Mayfield. Just throwing that out there. Roger Goodell, if you're watching, when you see this.
That number 6 jersey, I tell you what, that's been a coveted number.
All of a sudden,
the number 6 number is huge. And before this offseason, the only memory I had of a person wearing number 6 was Brian St. Pierre.
Dude, I was hoping you were going to say it.
I can't think of another player.
I was at the Brian St. Pierre game.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. That touchdown to David Geddes will forever be burned into my brain. By the end of the game, though, the stadium was overrun by Ravens fans, and it was pretty horrible.
That is true. So that's my only memory of the number 6 jersey prior to this season. PJ Walker, that doesn't count. It's too recent. Other than that, Brian St. Pierre, that's it.
Yeah.
So. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Primetime Carolina. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on our social media. And we will be back soon with some new Panther-related topics.
Peace out.